G'day punters, thanks for tuning in. So today I'm bringing you a couple of Euro trash DDs that are coming to the game. Nah, they're not really trash. They're actually really good. It just worked for the title. So first up we've got the Delana. Now this is a tier 11 super ship and it is super in every way. It's basically a super Halland. It looks like a Halland, it plays like a Halland. A lot of things about it are very Halland. However, it has a couple of distinct differences. So let's just go through the stats right from the top. Survivability, 24,150 hit points. That's with Survival Expert, of course. I think that's pretty much a standard take on captains for destroyers these days. And 24,150 isn't particularly impressive. You think about things like the Haragumo, which is at 30,000 hit points at tier 10. But I think it's in line with this ship. A little bit more than a Halland, but not excessively so. It does have a repair party as well, so 24,150 isn't the limit to its hit points. This will be a tough nut to crack, no doubt. Go to the artillery. These guns are going to look pretty familiar. 120mm cannons, 2 of them per turret, so there's 6 in total. So already it's got 33% more firepower than a Halland. 3-second reload, 8% fire chance, 825 meters per second shell velocity. They'll be a good brawling gun, good for self-defense. I wouldn't consider them to be the primary weapon of this ship. Indeed, I haven't actually equipped this captain or this ship as a gunboat. I've gone very much down the torpedo line. For very good reason, you'll see when I get to the torpedoes. So that's the guns. 3-second reload is nasty. They're still good guns. The torpedoes are going to look very Halland-like. So you've got 2 sets of tubes. The 5 by 533mm torps, 15 kilometre range, 90 knot speed. But you've also got 8 kilometre range and 74 knot speed. So if you've got your torpedoes loaded, your 15 kilometre torps, and you think, I want to use these 8k torps, and I'll give you a good reason to use those 8k torps in a sec. All you have to do is hit double tap 4, because 3 would be for torpedoes, for your normal torpedoes, 4 is for your alternative torpedoes, and it takes 10 seconds to switch to the 8 kilometre torps. So what's the difference? Well, I'm glad you asked. The 15 kilometre torps, as you can see there, 10,700 damage, 90 knots of speed, 1.8 kilometre detectability range by sea. Move down to the M1927 Mod 1s, 8 kilometres range, 14,400 damage, 74 knots, and 1.3 kilometres of detectability range by sea. So almost 4,000 more damage, half a kilometre less detection. That's nasty. That's much nastier than the torpedoes we're used to in a Halland. So I find that when I'm playing this ship, that early on I'm using those 15 kilometre torpedoes, trying to deny areas, trying to take out DDs early game that are trying to cap flags. And once you've neutralised that spotting threat from the enemy, you can close in with these 8 kilometre torps and really wreak havoc. 74 knots is no slouch. That's still a fast torpedo. If they did 90 knots, it'd be stupid. So these are handy, and they take ships by surprise. I would love to bring you some footage. Not allowed to do that yet. This is still under NDA, hence the work in progress banner. But a really fun little ship, and I'd be putting away the 40 or 50 million credits you need to get this thing, because as far as a torpedo boat goes, it's a lot of fun. But one thing I didn't touch on there is the reload. Look at that, 68.9 seconds. So they reload those torps really quickly. Now, as I said, the captain of the ship's all built around torpedo reload and speed and all those sort of things. However, you take Jerzy Swirsky and put him in this ship, you land 8 torpedoes, you're getting a 5% buff. You land 16 torpedoes, you're getting a 10% buff. I've perked him 3 times in a game before. That's 15% reload. Then you take into Adrenaline Rush, you take into account the fact you might be playing Arms Race, you get a reload buff there. You could get the reload to well under a minute, and potentially that would be nasty as hell to contend with. I can't wait to see someone putting out a video where they've got this thing down to a 50-second reload. It'll be quite a handful. So that is the torpedoes. That is the really interesting thing about this ship. Depth charges, well, they've got these standard forward-firing depth charge launchers, the mortars, like you see on the Halland and the Smelland. Clearly they are a rotating armament, but Wargaming have seen fit for us to not be able to rotate or aim those things, which makes them very awkward to use, as it is on the Halland and Smelland and the Nevsky for that matter. I really wish they'd give us an aiming reticle for these things, but what do you do? It's not going to happen, it doesn't seem. AA defense, very Halland-like, an AA rating of 92. It has defensive fire AA, so she's going to be a real handful for tier 10 and 11 CVs, except for maybe the Nakamov, because those pricks can strike you from outside the AA range of 6 kilometres. But moving on, I want to talk about CVs anymore because they're not real people. Manoeuvrability, very Helen-like, 36 knots. She's not particularly fast. 720 metres is a serviceable turning circle without being good. And same with the rudder shift, 4.4 is okay without being fantastic. The concealment is also very good, 6.1 kilometre surface detection. So that's only 100 metres more than a Halland. So, like I said, it's going to drive like a Halland. It's going to play like a Halland. It's just got much higher damage potential than a Halland. And I think that's what makes it super. And yeah, this is a ship I've really enjoyed in testing, and I look forward to when it actually makes the game live. I'll go through the equipment and captain that I'm using on this ship. So first of all, consumables. Obviously, you've got damage control putty, speed boost there, which is a standard speed boost, 2 minutes from plus 8%. You've got repair party there, and that's again pretty standard as far as repair party goes on the DD, and 3 defensive fire AAs. So I'm not taking superintendent on this ship, I should point out. As far as the ship upgrades goes, main armaments modification 1, of course. Then I've gone with engine room protection. It's pretty standard for DDs. The third one, you could take a choice of things here. I mean, if you want to improve your AA, then I guess that's the viable thing to do. Even the aiming systems, because the guns are particularly inaccurate. Well, in my experience with pan-European destroyers, you certainly wouldn't take main battery mod 2 though. But yeah, I think the faster 12s is justified. Obviously, it puts you at a greater risk of losing those torpedo tubes, but I think it's worth the risk. Then I've gone with propulsion modification. Always good to get you out of a jam if you need to in a hurry. Then, of course, concealment expert. And finally, I've gone for torpedo tubes mod 2 to get that reload down to 68.9. As far as the captain goes, 21-point captain. This is my Halland build. I think the first 10 points are pretty obvious. Preventative maintenance, last stand, survivability expert, and of course concealment expert. I really like taking radio location on any torpedo boat. Then of course adrenaline rush, fill the tubes, and liquidator, because you need to be able to get floods, and pan-European destroyers don't do it very well. So that extra 30% chance of flooding, it's probably, I wouldn't say it's mandatory, but it's a handy thing to have. So that is the Dalana, a really nice looking ship, and I think appropriately I've got it in fjords, the right place to be in something like a Dalana, and yeah, that'll be coming, I think, without many changes. So even though it's work in progress at this point, the next ship is quite an interesting one. It is the Hellenic Navy Velos. Now this is a ship that still exists to this day. It was transferred from the US Navy to the Greek Navy back in 1959. Obviously it's a Fletcher class destroyer, post World War II. Probably not much call from in 1959, but probably do alright in the Mediterranean with the Greek Navy. This is now a museum ship, as I said, and 127mm guns front and back, two of each. They're all protected turrets, not like on the Benham, where these are exposed turrets that get knocked out very easily. It's also got just the one set of torpedo tubes, like a kid. So very much a kid to look at, but not a kid to play, and I'll show you why. So survivability, 20,250. Yeah, it's pretty standard for a Fletcher, I suppose. The artillery, we spoke about that. 427mm guns, 12.1 kilometre range. Quite slow shell velocity at only 792 metres per second, but a really handy reload at 2.2 seconds. So this can certainly defend itself. Just a 6% fire chance, however, and that's with Demo Expert, I'm pretty sure. So it's only 5% by default. So not the best in there, but very good reload at 2.2 seconds. Torpedoes is where this thing gets interesting. So it's only got one set of tubes. Now I want you to think about the ships out there that have only got one set of tubes. Things like Haragumo, Akazuki, Kidd, Orkan, all these ships. What do they have in common? Long reload, 96-second reload, 2-minute reload. Just one set of tubes taking forever to reload. The only exception to the rule is the Tier 8 Cossack, which takes a minute to reload. Now I've set this thing up for torpedo reload, and I'm going to show you the torpedo reload right now. 45.9 seconds. Okay, this is work in progress, but 45.9 seconds is nuts. 19,000 damage, so they hit hard. 73 knots, so they're fast. 1.4 kilometre detection by sea, so they're stealthy, and they've got a 10.5 kilometre range. That is a mean set of torpedoes. You're pumping 5 of those out every 45.9 seconds, and that's before you take buffs into account. Yeah, that's pretty nasty. Taking into account too, it's got really good concealment, but I'll get to that. Depth charges, yeah, who cares, depth charges. AA defense of 55 is only slightly worse than the kid. Now obviously the kid's tier 8 and this is tier 9, so this will face tier 10, even potentially tier 11 CVs, so it's not going to shoot down planes like a kid can, but it can probably defend itself okay. I haven't actually played it to a point where I've been really heavily focused by CV, so I can't comment on whether or not it is effective. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, I can't comment anyway because that's NDA. But like with an AA rating of 55, it's probably serviceable in that regard. Manoeuvrability, 38 knots, it's quite good. It's got speed boost as well. Turning circle of 620 metres is excellent, as is the rudder shift of 3.9. That's pretty standard Fletcher stuff. Can I just say, I love this shipside grey colour scheme as well. This is the camo, the perma camo for the ship. Anytime they're doing like proper camos on ships, I'm in favour of. Now the concealment, I mentioned it's really good. It is really good. 5.6 kilometre detection by sea. So there's only a couple of ships I can think of that outspot that at tier 9, and that's the Yugamo, I believe, and obviously the Kigero at tier 8. They're 5.4 detection. The Cossack at 5.5. Is there anything else? I don't know that there is. 5.6 is particularly good. So yeah, very, very handy detection. So let's go to the equipment. We'll look at those things as well. So again, damage control party, pretty standard. Smoke screen. It's an American smoke. 127-second smoke dispersion time, 30-second action time. That's a long-ass smoke screen. Really good for smoke camping in, screening your friendlies. Very, very handy. Again, not running superintendents. I've only got 3 of these. Speed boost is pretty standard at plus 8%. Runs for 2 minutes. No great surprises there. And of course, defensive AA for that 300% shell explosion buff. So that's the consumables. The equipment I've put on here is main armaments mod 1. I've gone with engine room protection again. That's pretty standard on DDs. Once again, taking torpedo tube modification to increase the speed up to 73 knots for the torpedoes. I don't think any of these other things are viable options for this ship. I think that's the only one really worth taking. Then of course I've taken propulsion mod 1 because you're going to be in smoke a lot of the time and you need to get moving if someone spams torps into your smoke in a hurry. Then of course concealment expert to get that detection down to 5.6, and finally torpedo tube mod 2 in slot number 6 to get that reload down to 45.9 seconds. Just absurdly good. The captain I'm running on that, again, first 10 points, pretty standard. I guess, you know, I've obviously gone for a full torp reload build. If you want to put some points into Dazzle, I'd certainly see value in doing that. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good hybrid build for guns and torpedoes. You know, a bit of damage from Demo Expert and what have you. So there you go, guys. That is my brief review of the Delana and the Velos. I'd love to bring you some gameplay, but NDA does not permit me to do that just yet. Just something to whet your appetite. I would anticipate the Velos torpedo reload will be nerfed slightly. I don't know. That may not happen. It might go live like this. I mean, we all thought the Benham and Belfast would get nerfed, and look what happened to those things. They went live. It may well come, but either way, these are ships that I think you should look forward to getting to your port if you like playing destroyers. They're both good fun to play. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Let me know if you've got a video you'd like me to feature, like a gameplay video you'd like me to feature. I'm more than happy to do it. Send it to bex.wows@gmail.com. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.